We are live. Welcome,
Woo!
everyone. McKinley, how exciting
Hello.
we're live today.
I'm so excited.
I'm really excited. This is one of part of our series. This has been actually a great series on It's Love Month. So
Love
that's
month.
pretty, it's been really fun for me, this whole idea of doing all of our content around It's Love, or you know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
It's Love Month. How are you
Yeah.
doing in February, by the way?
Oh, I'm doing so well. I love February. I love month. And I also have a family member um, who has some heart health too. So we celebrate not only love month with February, but like health heart awareness month as well. So it's a big month for our family overall.
That's fantastic. It's a big month for us as well. I'm not sure if you know my birthday month.
Oh,
My
oh my
birthday
gosh.
is always the
I
day
know
before Valentine's Day. Very cool. Also,
it.
my mom's birthday, my brother's birthday, in fact, my
Valentine's
younger brother's birthday
Day.
is today. So it's also a big month for us. But one of the reasons that we wanted to do this series is because it is Love Month. It is our Valentine month. It's the month where we think about how we love people, why we love people, and how we can sort of, love people on purpose.
Yeah.
So we're really glad all of you are here tonight. I will say February is one of those months. I mean, because it's so special to me. I always think about like hearts and flowers. I wore my pink and I'm drinking out of my pink mug.
Need some pinks. Yep.
But this is interesting because I think about all of the times we talk about love and what love looks like and that type of thing. But after all these years of working with families, I have to say, and I'm sure the greeting card people would hate me to say this, but love in a home isn't really built on a holiday. It's
Yeah.
actually just built on like what we think about as ordinary Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And it's built when everybody feels tired, when everybody feels overwhelmed, when things didn't go the way that we hoped. And so I'm really excited to be here with you, McKinley, to work on this. What is it like to look to have those times with your family where you show up for love, even though when you maybe don't feel like showing up for love? Maybe
Yep.
February is not a special month for people. So I will just say my name is Angela with Delta Prevention. I am a parent educator, and I am thrilled to be here on this beautiful afternoon with McKinley. McKinley, say hi to folks.
Hello, everyone. I'm McKinley. I am also a family coach with Delta Prevention, working on a bunch of different strengthening families programs. And I love the opportunity to come here and do these lives to like sprinkle in these skills with families. Just like Angela said, it's a beautiful day today. So I think it's going to be a great live.
This is going to be a great live. And friends, what we're bringing to you, if you're not watching this live, we are still thrilled that you're here, that you're watching this, because we aren't just here to chit chat about what love is. We're actually going to talk about these 5 research-based foundations that consistently show up in strong families. So we always talk about why there are families that are strong and are able to be resilient when hard things happen, and why are there some families that really struggle in that area. And the truth is that it's skills. It's really just knowing how to level up in a way that research tells us. And we're here to give you those ideas. These are not magic. They are not abstract ideas. They are not theory. They are habits. They are practical. They are everyday skills. And we're going to walk through this today. We want you thinking about this one question. What does love look like in your family on an ordinary Tuesday?
Yeah.
Not
What does it look
really,
like?
yeah, like not the highlight reel. I mean, if you actually saw, if we like zoom into your house, not like the highlight reel, not the Instagram version, but like what does real love look like? Um, I love this. McKinley always reframes this idea of love because when we talk about this, even when we're working with our families, she always reframes this idea of love as like, what does it actually look like? Because we
Mhm.
always think about love as like big gestures, but really strong families are built on those ordinary Tuesdays. And I know McKinley's going to talk about her reframes. I'm going to kick it over to her, and very excited to be here with all of you. Go ahead,
Yeah,
friend.
awesome. Yeah, so we're going to kind of take these skills tonight and kind of go over, how is strong families built in these small moments? And that's what all builds
Mm.
up to love. So, a calm response instead of yelling, learning how to repair after a hard conversation, sitting next to your child, even when they're upset or when you're upset, and creating that safety and strengthening that bond. So, the same skills that make romantic relationships healthy, like communication, emotional awareness, support, resilience, are also the same skills that protect children and strengthen families. And so that's what we really want to touch on in this month of love, right? So we're going to talk through these 5 protective factors, and then we're going to frame each around, the lens of love specifically. So I'm going to throw it back to Angela, who's going to talk about our first protective factor.
So our first protective factor, friends, is the first thing you have to think about. We call it parental resilience. And it's really, let me just be really straight with friends, because parenting can be very stressful.
Yeah.
It is, and I don't want to leave that sentence there. I think one of the things that we have to acknowledge is parenting is the best job in the world. It is absolutely the most delightful thing that we've ever done and that we ever will do. I saw a video not too long ago about a dad who was holding his daughter for the very first time. And his wife asked him, "How do you feel?" And when he was holding her, he said, "There are no words to describe the feeling that I have." And so I don't want to get on here and make it sound like, oh, parenting is the toughest job in the world. It is a tough job. And it's a tough job because you're helping another human navigate the world. And so you're taking everything that you are and everything that you want to bring to it, and you're trying to help another human to be a part of something that they've never been a part of before and help them to navigate. I remember when our youngest was born, everybody left the room, and everyone, as they do after babies are born. And I turned him around and I looked at him and I said, "My name is Mommy, and I am going to be your guide. I'm going to help you in this world. And of all of the things I've ever done, parenting is the most delightful, but it is also stressful." And sometimes it's stressful because we're just trying to get through those ordinary Tuesdays. Sometimes there are bedtime battles, or there are teen attitudes, or there's financial pressure, or we're having struggles in other relationships or at work. And so there is a mental load with being a parent that we have to learn to navigate, and we have to learn to be resilient through. And that doesn't mean that there aren't days where you shut your bedroom door and you cry or you think, "God, am I going to make it through?" And then you get a good night's sleep and you eat a good meal in the morning and you realize there is no other option. Of course, we're going to make it through. Of course, I'm going to continue on. But as McKinley was talking about, resilience means that you lose your patience less and less over time, that you really try to make the environment that our kids are growing up in a place of peace and a place where they can feel like they are fully seen. And so in order to do that, we have to first take a beat. And so sometimes when we might want to lose our patience, we have to let that go. We have to, breathe through that. And really, one of the greatest gifts that we could give our family is emotional steadiness. It's the idea that we are not going to be impacted by the temperature in the room. We're going to set the temperature in the room. A really strong and steady parent is the thermostat. We can turn it up, we can turn it down. So instead of escalating, you might say something like, "I need a minute." And so what you're teaching your kids is sometimes things get tough, sometimes there's stress, and yet I'm going to do some things to make sure that I'm handling my end of the stress before I respond. And that helps to create safety. So I want to just, I want to say to parents and anybody who's in that situation, parents, parenting adults, that I see you. I know what it feels like to have snapped or said something you shouldn't have said or done something you shouldn't have done. And so a long-term successful parenting means that you're going to have to forgive yourself, ask for forgiveness if it has to happen, and then learn to take a deep cleansing breath, and then help our kids feel safety. I'm going to kick it over to McKinley in a second, but I want to first show you a breathing exercise that you can do. And by the way, we learn to do these things as parenting adults so we can teach our kids them, because they need them as well. McKinley, you and I have done this before. Even when we go to teach parent classes, it could be stressful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so to be able to like learn to breathe beforehand. So friends, you would just repeat this several times, but if you remember in your head, quick breath in, hold for 7. You're going to quick breath in through your nose, hold for 7, and then slow breath out through your mouth. So it looks like this. Ready? Everyone do it together. You can all do this. Shake it loose when you do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. So good. That breath out is 8 seconds. You're going to let it go out really good. But that's just one. Many, many, many other things that we could do. That really is a way to help our kids regulate when they see us do it. McKinley, I'm going to kick it over to you, friend.
I love that. You articulated all of that so beautifully. You just have such magic when you kind of pull from your own experiences and also, applying it to all this. And what I want to add here is just when we talk about resilience and, being a resilient parent, it's important to remember that it's not about being robotic. It's not about suppressing your own feelings or being like, oh, I have to shut down how I'm feeling and put everyone first. One of my favorite things that I've learned working with families, and something I share every single time because it's just it just sticks in my head, is just like on an airplane, they tell you like you have to put on your own mask.
Oh, that's good.
First before you take care of anybody else.
So good.
And that's
So good.
Everything. It's like you need to, do what you need to do for peace and safety for yourself before you can pour into anyone or anything else either. And it's not about suppressing it. So, it's really about knowing like, hey, I'm overwhelmed right now and I need a minute. You're allowed to say that. And sometimes resilience can sound like, I need to step away and we'll finish this conversation in 5 minutes. And Angela touched on this a little bit when she was talking about, what you start to model, but that's the really also kind of bonus part of this. Like you're taking care of yourself. And as a parent, you're going to model healthy coping, and children will learn from you how to cope. And do we all have some coping mechanisms that maybe we aren't the proudest of, or we're like, oh, shoot, okay, yeah, that caught up to me. Yeah, but that's all going to be viewed by our sponges of kids, right? They like soak everything else up. And so, as you can imagine, if you're modeling, oh, I take a second, I take deep breaths, I, cool down before I respond, versus like, maybe doing something not so healthy as a coping mechanism. That's what they see. And that's what you are kind of pouring into their futures with that. So not only are you then modeling healthy coping and they're learning from that, over time, it builds emotional strength in the entire household. And that is such a wonderful risk protection, right? So the idea of mindfulness seems so easy. And it's definitely a big word that's getting thrown out. And it's something that almost feels like too easy, right? So while it is a big hyped up word that we may all be kind of quick to dismiss as like, oh, not for us, or perhaps this is too woo-woo, right? It's a really powerful tool. Your breath is something that is always with you.
That's a good point.
Make a big difference in how you react and respond to a situation. So being able to respond versus, harshly reacting. And being able to take simple, deep breaths through your nose signals to your entire body and nervous system, I'm safe, I'm capable of dealing with this. So in moments where you're feeling stressed, you're feeling pulled in a million directions, truly taking 10 seconds to stop and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth can make a huge difference for how your body's going to react, how it's going to come off to everyone else. I've personally made it a goal this year. I started on my birthday back in October to meditate every single day. And at first it's like, whoa, that's crazy. But I'm like, I have 5, 10, 15 minutes for myself if I really prioritize that. And are there days that are really busy and it's hard and I don't get to it till I'm about to go sleep? Yeah. But it's been crazy to see what that has done for how I can respond to my family, how I can show up for work. And also just kind of keeping a promise to myself. So I'm on 140 days of meditating every day. Yeah.
No way. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And it's also cool to see some of the science behind it. My resting heart rate at night has pretty dramatically dropped. So just
Wow.
cool to kind of see those and that it works, right? So becoming a mindful, nurturing parent is super essential. And there's so many ways that we can get there. So a long-term study showed that children who had nurturing parents who paid sensitive attention to them were much more secure and successful as adults than those who maybe lacked nurturing parents or who had parents who, were maybe more stressed out and that just kind of
Mhm.
boiled out into them. So Angela already walked you guys through a great mindfulness exercise, just stopping and taking those breaths. And we have on our website, we have a ton of resources for other mindfulness things because it's not a one fits all. You got to kind of figure out what works for you. But with
That's
that, I'm going to throw it over to Angela.
Well, and also you have to figure out what works in each situation. I mean, that breath awareness one, I love that because I loved when you said your breath is always with you. That
Yeah.
was really good. Stealing that idea. But the other thing is that it was so good. But that particular one is the biological opposite of fight or flight. Isn't that
Mhm.
crazy?
Yeah.
So really like when you're feeling like, when it comes up in you, then you can actually do that breath, that
Yeah.
very quick breath in, hold for 7, blow out through your mouth through 8. Do that a few times, and that actually will calm you down. And so
Yeah.
then you're just more capable. So good. All right. Second one that we're going to talk about today. Remember, we're talking about the 5, so that we're on number 2. The second one is social connections. And I have to tell you, just in general, I'm a pretty friendly person. I always think about like, how do I become a really good friend? How do I make good friends? That kind of thing. But parenting done in isolation is usually, and in fact, I think has gotten more isolated, not less, with the advent of social media, because
Totally.
I think that we often hide who we are and hide our struggles because that's not what we see as those things are not happening on people's reels.
Always the
You know what I
A
mean?
role, right? Yeah.
Like I turn on TikTok and you're not showing me the time you screwed up as a parent. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think that actually that has been even more isolating for us as families, but really strong families are not isolated families. And that doesn't mean that you have to like put all your business out on Front Street. I would not do that. I wouldn't suggest you do that. But what we are suggesting is that parenting is never meant to be done alone. It was meant to be done in a loving family, a loving community. And so sometimes some of the quiet pressure looks like all the stuff that we've been handling without asking for help.
Yeah.
And so asking for help is not a weakness, it's wisdom.
Mhm.
When I remember when when I was just had a baby, probably, God, this was years ago, you guys, but probably he was like, I'm going to guess he was probably like a month or 2 months old. And I just remember being exhausted. I mean, I probably had some depression around that time as well. And so, but the absolute bare minimum, I was just physically and emotionally drained. And I remember my husband's aunt offered to come and watch him so I could sleep. And I thought, what a lovely thing, like, please come and watch him. And I laid in bed full of guilt. I look back
Mhm.
on that time and I think, God, what did you feel guilty about needing to sleep? Like, what a ridiculous thing to feel guilty about, that I needed to rest my body and my mind.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that we should share with each other, that that's the other piece, is that sometimes you think, okay, maybe I'll get away with it when the kids are little, but then
Mhm.
as they get older, I should have been able to have a handle on this. I'm sorry, what? You have
Yeah.
tweens that are fighting you, fighting each other, making life
Yeah.
really, really hard. That's the time to ask for help. Ask
Yeah.
for a break, ask for a night out, ask, maybe they're too old for like a traditional babysitting, then
Mhm.
ask a family member to take them to the movies or whatever it is that you have to do, because when adults feel supported, kids feel safer. And the last thing
Mhm.
you want to do when they feel out of control is to get out of control ourselves.
Yeah.
Because if you think about that, our kids are feeling what we're feeling in our bodies. So we have to be able to ask for help. Doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't even have to be family. It could just be like, maybe you plan a simple park day where the kids can all be playing together and you could just be chatting with a friend.
Yeah.
If that's as close as you can get, that's perfect. It could be and this was something that I struggled with when our kids were little. And boy, did I get better at this real quick. Scheduling a time for a grandparent to help. And one
Mhm.
of the things that we talk a lot about, and this is something just socially that has kind of blown up a little bit over time, is that people will say, "Oh, well, I don't want them to give my kids bad habits. I don't want them to be eating sugar all day, or those kinds of things."
Mhm.
It's like, let them eat sugar and go take a nap.
You're like, sugar is not your problem.
Sugar is not a problem. Like, go take a nap and let them spoil the kids for a minute. I'm not suggesting that you let them break all your family rules. I had a funny story, and I won't take long. I know that we're not on an unlimited time, but my husband's elderly, so my husband's aunt, she was probably, I'm guessing she was in her 70s at that time. She would take my boy one day a week so I could go to the office. This was back, he was probably about 2 by then. And I had gone back to work, and
Yeah.
she would take him. And one day I got home. I don't think I've ever told you the story, McKinley. One day I get home, to pick him up from her house, take him home. And she said, he loves Coca-Cola. And I
Oh,
said,
you said,
how would you know he loves Coca-Cola? I don't even think it was 2, because he was just still using a bottle.
yeah.
And I said, how would you know he loves Coca-Cola? Did you just put a little on a spoon? And she goes, no, I just put it in his baby bottle.
Like, oh, that explains why he's coming home so wired. And
Girl,
oh,
how quickly I got my back up over that. And now I look back and I think, you know what? I did ask her to stop giving him Coca-Cola. I found her some alternatives, things that she could share with him that were not that unhealthy, whatever.
yeah.
But I got my back up pretty big. And had I said, oh, she's just corrupting him, giving him too much
Yeah.
sugar, he would have missed out. He was with her one day a week. He loved her like nobody else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a balance, and so I'm definitely not suggesting you put your kids in an unsafe situation. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, we have to learn to reach out and ask for help from people, and that help is not always going to be perfect the way we would want it to be.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
That's
go
amazing.
McKinley. You talk, or I'll sit here all day.
Yeah, I was just at a baby shower, and I probably was thinking about this class because it had a little note card of advice to the parents, and I said, something along that lines of lean on your community, let us help you,
Yes.
nurture you through this. And it's been really fun. I have a ton of friends who are about to be new parents, and just figuring out meal trains and this and this, and it's just, the community is so special, and we're so
Yeah,
lucky to
that's
have
right.
it. And you pour in and you get it back in other ways. So it's just,
So
it's
good.
amazing. So next up, we're going to talk about our third topic, which is knowledge of parenting and child development. So loving our kids for who they are. And this protective factor really can change everything, because sometimes we interpret behavior as defiance when it's actually development. So we have a lot of parents who come to our classes and are like, oh, this is an issue, or this is this. And we have to be like, well, let's look at this from a developmental level. Let's start to understand where this is coming from, because kids are not just learning these things to drive parents crazy. That's not what's happening here. It may feel like it sometimes, right? But you think a 7-year-old struggling with impulse control, or an 11-year-old becomes way more peer focused than they have before. A 15-year-old starts pulling away and wanting independence. And while if you're looking at it in kind of this direct scope in your family, that can feel really hard. Those transitions are really hard. When we can look at it from a developmental lens, that can really help us not only understand what's going on, but then kind of how to navigate it well to, keep up our communication, to continue bonding, strengthening those bonds, right? So all of this isn't a rejection. And sometimes it's very feel like it's not a rejection, it's growth. And you actually want your 7-year-old to start understanding impulse control, and your 11-year-old to be peer focused, and your 15-year-old to start showing this independence, because they're going to have to go off into society. And that's a major, major thing, right? So when we start to understand what stage our child is in, we shift from why are you acting like this to what skill are you still learning? And that shift can really soften us, and also kind of soften that blow of rejection that we may be feeling, right? So it helps us respond with teaching instead of punishment. And if we can
I like even coaching helps us respond with coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Coaching, all this stuff. And while there's, activities and behaviors and things that do call for punishment, we love to start with like, what skill can we teach from this? What can we learn from this before we get there? So, how can we respond? How can we coach through this? And that is also just like a deep form of love in a family, right? Like allowing things to happen and it not immediately being a moment of punishment, but a moment of learning and that safety for that. And so when expectations match developments, conflict decreases too. So when we expect a teen to behave like a fully mature adult, we're going to constantly feel frustrated.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
They are not a fully mature adult.
Yeah.
Same thing with a 2-year-old. You're acting like, or even an infant, like you're thinking of them as like tiny adults. No. And you're going to be disappointed and you're going to be stressed if that's the lens, right? But when we remember that their brain is still developing, especially with impulse control and long-term thinking, we can adjust our approach. And understanding development helps us parent with compassion instead of control. And that's really the goal there. So there's obviously way more to the developmental milestones that we can touch on tonight, but this is a big part of Strengthening Families program that we teach throughout the year, some of our other kernel classes. So if you are interested in learning about these developmental areas, like how you can support your kids through all of these, keep in touch with us. We got your back on that one.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, deltaprevention.org, friends, deltaprevention.org. Wait, let me just say this because you're talking about this and I'm thinking, the way that we're talking about it here, it makes it sound like there's never any conflict at home or that like we're like zen above the conflict. And that's not true.
Yeah.
Because every single family experiences conflict. That's actually normal and natural.
Yeah.
And really, strong families aren't conflict free. It's just that they are what we like to call repair skilled, meaning conflict is coming up. It's normal. Disagreement is normal. Misunderstandings are normal. I mean, I said something to somebody today, just today. I was at church and somebody made a comment and then I made a comment to them. And I was reflecting on that comment that I made and I thought, oh, I wonder if they thought that I meant this other thing. And so I sent them a little text. They did. They thought that and so I sent them a text and I was like, I meant me, not you. You know what I mean? And so like a misunderstanding and disagreement, those things happen. But what protects families is not avoiding hard moments. It's knowing how to move through them.
Yeah.
It's having healthy communication in a family that looks like, okay, I'm going to listen to understand, not to win.
Yeah.
I had a conflict in our home not too long ago, and I was in my mind angry, I was angry because I was thinking, well, this person, they don't have a right to be so like frustrated about it because I'm the one that does all the work, whatever. But it was unusual. And I had remembered, I just had that moment of clarity where I was like, there's no reason for them to be this frustrated over this silly thing. Why would they be this frustrated? So I took my own advice and I just sat down next to them and just like physically touched my hip to their hip and just sat and just just the presence. And then they just took a deep breath. And I thought at the time, it's one of the ways that we communicate is when we see that somebody is angry. It may just be that they're trying to express, but they can't get the words out. And maybe they don't even know why they're angry, but just don't take the bait. We always say that, like, don't take the bait.
Yeah.
If they're offering you the bait to get angry, to get frustrated, to get in a fight, not to say that I don't always not take the bait, but the more that we can not take the bait, the more that we're listening to understand. We're speaking from what our experience is, not to like attack or blame the other person. And then there are times, especially as parenting adults, I felt like right after my kids were grown, and we had 8 kids. They were all different people. And so I felt like right after my kids were grown, I should go on an apology tour, like just letting you know there were moments where I should have done that. And thankfully they received most of them well, most of my
Yeah.
apologies well, you know what I mean? But I think that's the other thing is it takes very little to apologize, but it actually makes you the bravest person in the room. You just
Yeah.
gotta, just everybody gets it wrong.
Well,
No,
and we've met some families where they've really said like, "Oh, I didn't realize that I should apologize to my kids."
right.
Like they thought that that maybe made them, not as good of a parent, or that was just like an unspoken like, "Well, I'm the adult. I don't apologize." And realizing like, wow, what can that do for our family when I can apologize? So
It's behavior, that behavior is learned from them. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
That behavior is learned. One of my kids said to me after they were an adult, I was surprised to find out you weren't perfect. I thought you were.
Oh, I
And,
definitely
and
had
I
that
thought,
too.
you thought I should have told you. I should have told you earlier
Yeah,
that this
I
is
know.
not perfect.
And
I
I
don't think they meant it like they didn't mean it insulting, or they didn't mean it like even to like build me up. What they
yeah,
meant was like flat out, I thought that you were perfect. And so I was measuring myself against that.
yeah.
And once they realized, thank God they realized I was not perfect, that making mistakes is perfectly okay and it's
Yeah.
perfectly human.
No, I
Perfectly.
had that realization with my mom as well. And almost it was like a taking her off the pedestal. Like that's a lot of pressure to be
Yeah.
in the eyes of being a perfect person, right? So
Yeah.
that's yeah.
And it's a lot of pressure for the adult. You know what I mean? It's a lot of pressure for the parent or the parenting adult, because there are things that we're going to do that we need to repair. There are a few things, just some words. I love this idea of just let me give you a few words, parents, parenting adults, that you can use. Like you can actually say things like, when that happened, I felt hurt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or like, you could apologize. I shouldn't have raised my voice, or
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed and I'm sorry. Or we used to have this game with my youngest. We used to have this game where if we would get really frustrated with each other and we knew we were both like running down that line real fast, that we were about to hurt each other's feelings or whatever, we would say, can we start the day over again? Didn't even matter what time it was. And then we literally would say, okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah.
And then
I
we
love
just
that.
wake up again. Like,
Yeah.
let's just have a reset. And it's okay, because we want families to be able to repair, because if they can repair, then we can teach our kids, these are how you navigate your emotional skills. But you actually know a lot about social and emotional competence. Can you share a little bit of that with us?
Yeah, so this is our final topic, and one of my favorite topics in general, the idea of social and emotional competence and emotional intelligence.
Mm,
And this is where I feel like this theme of Love Month really all comes alive. So we teach kids how to love by teaching them emotional skills,
mm,
emotional intelligence. And remember, we are not born, no one is born with an emotions playbook. We learn what
good
is
point.
modeled to us, what is told to us, what we see. And I often see a lot of families only able to identify like 3 to 5 emotions that they think take place in their home. It's very crazy. It's like there's happiness, there's sadness, and there's anger. And it's way
So many more than that, kid.
yeah. So with our kids, we can help them. A really, really important skill is this emotional intelligence, and we can help them name feelings, express their needs,
Mm,
listen to others, and also repair after conflict. So children are not born knowing how to communicate well. They learn by watching us and
that's
communicating
right.
with us. So one simple practice that you can do this week is to help open up connection and connect with our inner experiences as well. So we can do something at like dinner time or bedtime or in the drop off line to school where everyone shares a high and low. And maybe you've heard of this like roses and thorns, high and low. So it's a high from the day. So something that went really well. And then a low from the day, which is something that was like, oh, this was a bummer, or I would have liked this to go differently. And then because it's the month of love, we can add in a heart. So something that they appreciated today.
I
And
love
so
that.
this simple little activity really just catapults you from the typical like, oh, how was your day, to and fine, whatever, and kind of closes off the conversation, to really opening it up.
One
It's a
word response.
yeah, exactly. It not only teaches, kids how to like build their own emotional vocabulary in connection to what's happening, but then that also cues you into their day, and they can just create, just way better communication between the both of you. So I'll have Angela put on a handout from our Strengthening Families. This is one of my favorite handouts in the whole 11-week series.
I love this one.
And it helps you kind of connect to it's emotional coaching. So tips to raise emotionally resilient children. So we will have this posted along with this video so you guys can do this activity at home. But what you're going to do is you're going to walk through it and you see all these different emotions. And you're going to see if you and your kids can, name these. Like, what is this? And then you can kind of start to apply that to your day. And then I'll take it a step further that you can post this on your fridge or on your family bulletin board and use this when there are moments of frustration or sadness or something. You say, hey, look at this chart, pick out which one you're feeling. And then that's a really good clue in to how we're going to navigate this situation together. So when children develop emotional competence, they can build stronger friendships, healthier dating relationships later in life, better conflict resolution skills, and also just a greater sense of empathy. And what could we need more in the world now, right? Is empathy, right? So you're not just parenting for today. And I think that's, even though we talk about like these ordinary days, it all kind of builds on to you're not just parenting for today, you're shaping the kind of adult your children are going to become. And that starts with these emotional intelligence, how to communicate effectively, how to repair after conflict. So
good.
Yeah.
So good. So good. So good. I love that. I heard somebody say this one time that you are not just raising your children, you're raising your grandchildren's parents.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
It is really good. So when you zoom out, all of this really connects, like when we talk about the 5 expressions of love, like our 5 protective factors, or the 5 expressions of love, because it's Love Month. Just a reminder, friends, staying steady under stress, staying connected to community, understanding development. We did such a great job of talking about that, McKinley. Absolutely beautiful, because then it helps people to see, oh, okay, my kid's not just being disobedient. That's naturally where their curiosity would take them. And let's turn them back. Communicating and repairing, and then teaching emotional skills. But friends, let me just make this final point, because none of this is flashy, but all of this is powerful. When we think about what love looks like on a Tuesday, it's not loud, it's steady. It's the calm voice, it's the apology, it's the do-over. It's what you were talking about, McKinley, doing the roses and thorns, what's great, what's hard. But it's checking in. It's, dinner time together where you say, how did today go? Or as you were saying in the pickup line, that's how strong families are built. That's how your family is built, friends. Yeah. And now you have some practical ideas, some things that you can just pat yourself on the back. Oh, we've been doing that, or pick up a few more of the ideas. We're going to take those on for ourselves. Do you have some things that you can try this week? If you ever want those deeper building blocks that, like we actually have Strengthening Families or Keep Connected. We on social media, we actually do Prevention in My Kitchen. We do a lot of projects in a lot of different ways. We have a podcast. We have all kinds of things to help you see how are we already strong, and how can we even become more resilient families. Please, please, please follow us, like us. This is deltaprevention.org. You can come and take any of those classes with us. We do that all year long, but we just want to thank you for spending part of your day with us. We hope you have a great week. Keep building that love on purpose. Stay connected, stay connected. Any final words, McKinley?
No, that's it. I hope that you got some skills that you can try out this week. And as it filters into next month, I am always in awe of families who take time to sit down, learn some new skills, want to explore what it's like to be a strong family. So thank you all for having us. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your month, your day.
Have a great one, everyone.
Bye.